blacks and whites continue to have difficulty with one another in relationships because they fail to do more than just mingle when they have to be together when work requires it, or to just be in a space together when it's, the writer didn't use this term, but politically correct, to be in space together, you know? And until we find that way to be intimately together, to grow to know one another, to share the kitchen table together, to make families together, we're going to keep fighting this battle.
I have so many things in common with people of color. And I found myself finding the same problems, the same issues, the same feelings, and I think I found commonality, which I was not expecting.
Even though we may stay on the same block or in the same neighborhood, your life is, you see the world completely different from what I do. And, you know, my goal isn't to change minds or change your outlook on life, but to get you to think just for a split second that things could be different.
Looking through the lens of what other people have gone through. And this really did make me very much aware of how sheltered I've been, how blessed I've been, but also how I've not used my voice to speak about this. And so I know now that my mission will be to talk to other folks who have lived a life like mine about what other folks have gone through and how we've got to be involved and we've got to understand and we've got to have conversations and work together to understand.
I had some revelations about my own trauma that I realized that I have a lot of stuff that I need to unpack and really address. And so on a personal level, that was just huge. And then towards the end, when we had everybody together again and we had some really very heated, emotional conversations, some very difficult, painful conversations, I had some of my own disgusting biases brought forth plain in front of my face. And that's not fun, but I always welcome that because that's where the growth happens.
Who the hell wants to look at someone that they just became friends with and I'm like, I'm glad you get my trauma. Like, let's just go.
Yes. Like the reality of that life, just like so grateful, but also like so fucking painful. And for me, this is the first time in my life I've met so many of these individuals. And so it really is my first interaction and introduction. And they may have seen me, but this is my very first time speaking, like first time in person, hugging this woman. But she has seen me bare my entire soul. And so I know she knows me intimately. And I love it and I hate it for her because that shit hurts.
People say so many things about us, that we don't want healing and that we don't want this and we don't want that. And there's all these assumptions that we're just angry and we're not. We're hurting and we're terrified and we just want to live our life and we're not given the space to do that.
As a Black woman we are the most educated block, but we are forced to be the strength of everybody and nobody takes care of us. And so that's where the resiliency comes in.
Coming into the space where it was just people of color, Black people, hearing different ways of approach or diverse ways of seeing and hearing what we experience, but knowing that it's still the same ultimately. Going back to my body was kind of like an exhale that I didn't know I needed to take.
one of the sessions to be able to reflect that back to the group to get some of the white people to recognize, yeah, this is activating. You all, I can see on all the little squares, everybody's activated. That's what people of color feel around us all the time.
You know, from our perspective, you know, we have this fervor and this passion, like, you know, how can you not understand it? You know, because the brevity of it from us is just so much. We get it, but you know, you have to be able to understand it on your side so that whenever we come up with that fervor, that automatic wall doesn't go up and you don't hear anything that we say. So, you know what I'm saying? Being able to establish those baselines are very important to being able to, like, you know, proceed throughout the research.
To hear them express how they felt, you know, and that connected with how I felt, and said, man, I'm glad you said that. I felt that same way. And then sometimes how I felt was based on my own internalized impression of inferiority too. And so being able to, you know, have an opportunity to reflect from another person to say, well, Frank, that wasn't my experience with that. I say, yeah, I might have been stuck in my own impression. So that was, yeah, I needed that. I needed that opportunity to grieve.
I talk a lot and I probably say the wrong things a whole lot of times, but I'm not going to apologize for that, or I'm not going to back down, but I'm going to say, what can I learn? Where did I go wrong? So that when I'm in the community and doing things, I want to be able to speak a language and understand the fears, whether it's health disparities, whether it's the fear of being the leader in the family and you're sick, you know, just what opportunities have not been there and what folks are facing.
Be more thoughtful in my processing my first impressions of those ideas and opinions. And make sure that I'm not discounting things that I shouldn't be discounting. Because it's very easy to do, because in so many situations our experiences are so different. And it's easy to forget that. Because like you were saying, Joe, we come in together and we all pretend everything's okay, and we go through the motions and we start thinking that we're really all the same, and we're not. Your experiences as a Black man are vastly different from mine as a white woman. And I need to give more space to that and let that guide how I hear you.
The principle of weight really helped me learn to listen and to ask questions and to change the way I engaged with dialogue. And I like it.
Any change, lasting change, it has to be organic. It has to come from a place where I don't have to stand there and watch you like a hawk to make sure you're changing.
It was mentioned a couple of times that racism is a white person problem. And if we're going to continue the work, it isn't just a support group for people of color, which they want to continue, but also white people being able to talk to other white people about this issue. And most of them said they could do that.
This is not a one and done. We didn't check a box. We're not like, oh, you know, like almost like a little bit hesitant with the certificates. Like, this is the beginning. This isn't like the end. You can't be like, well, I'm good now. I've solved racism in my own mind. We're good.
So like when I talk about outcomes, I'm really talking about that important work of like, can you, and I'm talking about the participants, take this, whatever this experience was, and go off into the world and do things that might actually impact change on a larger scale.
If nothing else, it would be an environment where we could hear from one another, process, come back, and continue the dialogue.
So it's an honor and privilege. I know that everybody's like, French, you did an amazing thing. That's because I'm privileged. That's because I have an amazing family that allowed me to have all the ingredients to bring this together.